Hello there, my name is Matthew and this is Mandy. Now Mandy's on a third picture today, and what we're going to do is have a go at doing a nice Cornish seascape. So, first of all, simple sky, get the colours, and what I'm going to do is just use some French ultramarine blue, which is a smashing sort of sky blue colour really. I put the water in there first, plenty of colour but also plenty of paint as well. Mix more than what you think you'll need, okay? That's a useful thing to do. So that's the colour, that's fine. Something else to be prepared with is a bit of tissue. Kitchen roll, not loo roll, and then we'll put the water on, okay? The actual paper is stuck down with masking tape, and I've put a line across about a third of the way up, just a straight line with a pencil. This is to represent the horizon line, the sea. So the water goes on.
So it doesn't matter if it's a bit blue with the...
No, that's fine,
as
long as it's obviously not too dark.
Yeah.
A blue tinge is perfectly fine actually. And what I'll do is put the water on, bring it all the way down to the line I've sketched in, loosely stopping somewhere down there. So I'm just sort of putting it on. I'm bouncing around a bit because I'm checking the light bouncing on the water, so I know if I've missed any bits, you see.
Does it matter if you miss a little bit or...?
Now that's quite nice, I think, to do that sometimes. Something to be aware of is making sure that corners are wet, especially if you're working on a slight tilt, which is a great way of working because it's not putting too much on. Get the blue paint on while the paper's wet.
Okay.
So nice loaded brush, juicy colour, loaded brush. That's fine, that's okay. And then at the top, just put the blue on, pretty much all the way across, and then just imagine you're leaving out little bits for clouds, let's say. I'm sort of wiggling the brush across, leaving a white space for the cloud. So as you're doing it, just imagine you sat looking at clouds.
Yeah, so no set pattern, just...
Yeah, the nice thing about watercolour is whatever happens is what you've got really, and that's the great thing about watercolour painting. That's what's great about it really. At the bottom, just 1 or 2 horizontal lines across there, just to take it off into the distance. You will find your paper slightly swells up a little bit. That's perfectly normal for this. That's it. So you can finish that with just a few
the lines. Do I need paint on the brush to do that?
Yeah, not too much. Maybe wipe off at the side there, yeah, and then just sweep it across. There it is. Okay, so brush is down then. While it's still wet, we'll get this tissue. And we'll get a bit of a ball for the tissue, something like this. That's officially your cloud painting tool, all right? So what you're going to do is you're going to dab the top of the white spaces, put some clouds in. Good firm dabs on this one. You're not twisting, you're just doing straight dabs, sort of using your finger just to put a little bit of pressure on.
Okay. And
you get the smashing effect of fluffy cloud. A nice English seascape cloud there, look, just blob on.
So just random?
Yeah, random. Try and group it together. Try and imagine the big cotton wool clouds. Rather than dab here, dab there, you know, put a few more little bits elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
Imagine you're sat on your back garden, lying down, watching the clouds go by. As you come down towards the bottom, you could put a few there as well, look.
In the blue?
Yeah. If you've got like a big expanse of blue, you could do a few dabs there as well.
Do you need to turn that over then, or...?
If it stops working for you, then you could...
Yeah. If it gets too wet.
Re-squidge it.
Re-squidge it. Okay.
You can get some more shape to it. A few dabs. That's the kind of thing you're looking for. Slightly look back on your picture. Is it looking quite nice to you? Are they looking cloud-like? That's just about where we want to be with that. That's a perfect
Is that enough, do you think?
Yeah, it's quite a nice sky, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you see clouds there?
Yep.
That's it, then we'll sussed it. So that needs to dry, but one quick thing we need to do first is just look at the bottom where the water's settling. Has it got like a big puddle of water? If not, it's fine. If it has, use your brush, squeeze out the colour. Okay. So it's a damp brush. Yeah. Like a sponge then, you can sponge up any excess. Yeah. It just sort of drags it up into your sponge. Something to mention, 1 or 2 things that might be niggling you about it at the minute. The fact that your paper's swelling, I mentioned before, that will settle down, okay, that's perfectly normal. Also, a little bit of grainy effect you sometimes get. That is purely the paint settling in the grain of the paper. Yeah. That's perfectly fine, it is part of watercolour painting. Yeah. Just to go over what you quickly did again there, mix the colours first, that's always the first thing to do. Plenty of colour, more colour than what you think you need for this one. Plenty of water, plenty of colour. Wet the sky, it's a wet into wet technique, which is great. 90% of watercolour skies are done using this technique, all right? So that goes on there nice and wet. The blue goes in on its own. Kind of drift it off at the bottom. Use the tissue and just put the dabs. Creative dabs.
Creative dabs.
So that's got to dry off and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so that's nice and dry then. So what we can do is get the sea on next. Pretty straightforward, but we'll mix a colour for this one. So if we grab his brush, and then we can use the blue what's there actually, but obviously if you need some more, you can mix some more. So I'll just freshen up slightly, bit of water, bit of colour, and so on. So that's good. Okay. And what we'll do is put a tiny bit of the crimson red, alizarin crimson. Okay. Put a little tiny spot, okay, because it's powerful. So just dab it on the side of the well first before you do it, and then put your crimson in. So it goes like a slight, let's say a lilac. Imagine a blueberry type colour, not purple.
It's quite a strong colour.
It is a powerful colour, definitely. That's fine.
Is that okay?
Bit more water for good luck, just in case. Maybe a touch more red as well in there, I think.
Okay.
And then hopefully you can see a pencil line.
Yep.
What we'll do is start probably around about a quarter of the way along the line. I can just see that line and put a line all the way across, trying to get it straight as you can. So stop breathing for a second as you do it. A straight-ish line. Okay. That's it. The reason for starting there is because we're going to put the cliffs on. There's no point doing the water there. So what we'll do is do a couple of lines, probably about an inch for the whole thing. All right, that's it, just slop it on.
So it doesn't have to be really level, does it?
No, because it's a bit wavy, isn't it? So you're fine, yeah? And then what we'll do is just use water, okay? So while this is wet, what you may notice is a little bit of build-up at the bottom where the line's wet, okay? Pick up some water, wipe it on the side of your pot so it's not too soaking. And then just continue painting this line downwards. Just imagine you're continuing it down, take it down, and start to blend it across to the side as well. So just putting the water on. Paint it quite loosely. This is what you call a dry wash. It's straight onto the paper. There's no water beforehand on this one. And I'll just take this all the way down, take it off.
All right, down.
So it almost disappears away, let's say, shall we? All the way down.
So you need quite a bit of water then, don't you?
Yeah, not soaking brush though. And then on this side, see the side there? Just put that little bit of water there as well. So try and blend it this way as well as downways.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
It doesn't matter if you go into the darker.
You can go over that again, that's perfectly fine. In fact, that's what I'd probably do actually. I'd take that damp brush up into the line that you've got at the top. Not too much water, remember. That's it, spot on. Take it up, run it across.
Right, and then bring it down.
Pull the colour down maybe. Yeah, and it's a nice smooth blend. Gradient's fine.
And then just the edge.
Yeah, just kind of take it off the side of your paper. And that's fine. Bear in mind that because it's the sea, it's not got to be perfect because it's all wavy and that sort of thing, you know, so it's fine actually.
Yeah, so mistakes quite good.
Mistakes are good in this one, yeah. So we can put his brush down, let that dry off again. So while that's drying off, just to quickly go over what you've done again, the colour was the French ultramarine from the sky with a tiny little speck of crimson. No water, straight on to the dry paper. The line went across about an inch or so, then using a damp brush, wipe it on the side, and just sort of work it down so it blends away towards the bottom and to the left. Okay, so now that's all dried off, we can get some cliffs on, shall we, there. So what we're going to do is use a smaller brush. This is around about a size 6 brush, this one, so it's about half the size of this one. So the cliffs over to the left sat on top of this line you sketched in. What we're going to do is mix up quite a strong, heavy colour for this one. The colour we need to use is the browny rusty colour called burnt sienna, okay? So we can use this quite dark. It's a very definite rusty colour when it goes in your palette. Bit of an orange colour really, you know, so we can use this quite thick and quite definite.
Also not too much water.
Fair amount of water, it's fine. But juicy colour again is what you want for this one, all right? So plenty of colour and then some blue with it. Put some blue in there as well. The French ultramarine goes into the colour and it makes it look more like a grey or a dark brown. So
stony sort of colour.
Yeah, stony colour. Plenty of blue though. Don't be shy with the colour.
But if it goes too dark, it's going to go like a black, is it?
Absolutely. That's probably about right actually for this. And then what we'll do using this brush pretty much straight on, I'm going to start just off halfway, so round about there somewhere.
Okay.
And just start to paint a line across. You can see how strong the colour is.
Across the original line,
yeah.
Is that?
Very loosely painted though.
Yeah.
No sort of,
no.
Not too much care with it, just put it straight in. And then what we need to do is try and go so it's a thin point at the end towards the centre. That's going to give us the distant feeling. So if you just make this slightly thinner,
it's quite brown,
slightly orangey.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So how would you darken it then? More blue? Put some more blue with it. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Is that too light then?
No, that's fine. The blue will darken it down, obviously.
Yeah.
So what we'll do then is just take it up. Okay. Imagine the cliff going up, very loosely. Just plop it on. any blobs you get like this can represent trees.
Yeah.
So it's very loosely, it goes on. No sort of effort took too much in doing that, really. What you could do is actually make some trees by putting some blobs. Put some blobby bits. Once you've painted it in, blobby bits for trees, and even put a little man waving if you want to.
Does this have to be quite straight, this
I would
edge?
probably sort of just taper it off towards me a little bit more, yeah. You can imagine putting quite a bit of time into doing this. You can put like little trees, little houses, churches, that sort of thing. You know, all that can, anything goes really on that one. That's pretty much it for that really. So that goes on pretty easy. That will give us the distant feeling for the cliffs.
So how high? Probably a couple of inches.
Slightly higher as it comes across to the left.
Yeah.
Of course, it works the opposite way, this picture as well. So you could flip everything over and it still works fine. You know, there's no problem with doing that. So let your brush just dance around the paper when you work on the edge. Put little spotty bits on there. Blobbies for trees. And a man waving. Or maybe not, eh? While it's a little bit damp, it's still shiny, isn't it, that colour?
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can clean this brush, wipe it through some tissue, so it's a damp brush, and I can just drag out some lighter bits of colour, so little marks in the actual cliffs. So actually squeezing it through the tissue each time you do it, and just dragging out the colour towards the bottom of the cliffs.
To make like a shading?
Yeah, try and sort of drag it so you're laying your brush flat and just wipe it through.
Right.
Then that can dry off again, ready for the next part.
Like that?
That's the idea, but try and really soak it, put your brush flat and soak it up towards you, pull it out towards you without going over the edge too much. That's the idea. You can see the colour coming off.
Yeah.
A little bit of texture, a little bit of shadow and shading. Okie dokie. While that's drying off, what we can do is we can just sort of, a bit like the clouds, spend a bit of time just dragging out the colour if you want to do that. So basically the colour was important, very thick colour, nice, juicy, heavy colour. Working from tube paints, nice and moist. Burnt sienna, French ultramarine, a browny grey colour for this one. And only things to take into consideration, start off very slim, imagine it going wider and wider as you get towards the end of your picture.